our country. I mean, hundreds of billions. They're keeping the oil prices low. I see that yesterday, one of the papers, I was blamed for causing traffic jams because I have the oil prices so low.
He tweeted, "Thank you, Saudi Arabia, for lowering oil prices." He said it's about America first. But is it?
Well, you know, I looked it up. Canada provides 40% of oil, Saudi Arabia 9%, and yet he's so nasty to Canada. Justin Trudeau didn't kill anybody, and he's mean to Canada and nice to the Saudis. So what can we make of that? There's another reason. We don't know what it is. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they bailed him out of bankruptcy one time. Maybe it's the fact that they bought the entire floor at Trump Tower one time. All these little things that have to do with his pocketbook and not ours.
This is poised to be one of the biggest arms deals ever announced. It's supposed to happen tomorrow while President Trump is visiting Saudi Arabia. So those foreign military sales agreements are expected to be upwards of $100 billion, with a potential, I'm hearing, to grow to as much as $350 billion over the coming decade. Now, among the new agreements that will be announced, many of which will have to clear the State Department and Congress for approval still, a terminal high altitude area defense, or THAAD, missile system like the one that's currently being installed in South Korea right now. That's made by Lockheed Martin with a lot of input from Raytheon. Also expected more Patriot missiles, precision guided munitions, ships, tanks.
Because we really do need a full accounting of where his money comes from, because the emoluments clause is very clear. The president should never put his personal wealth before American lives, America in general, and American interests. And it just seems to me, like you just said, Joy, when you look at his, he's bragged about his financial relationship with Saudi.
The U.S. is reportedly finalizing arms deals worth over $100 billion with Saudi Arabia. Media quoted unnamed White House officials as saying that the deals cover sales of arms and ships as well as maintenance services. The sources said the deals are part of a $300 billion package to boost Saudi military capabilities in 10 years.
It's important to remember when Donald Trump talks about Saudi Arabia, even his claims are exaggerated. There's some outright falsehoods. He talks about all the money that we have in military sales to Saudi Arabia. He's lying about that. When there's this belief that there's great dependence on Saudi oil, well, no one was looking. Well, the government was doing very little. American oil men and women created an energy revolution this century. We don't need Saudi Arabia the way we needed Saudi Arabia in 1974, in 1994, even in 2004. They are not as critical to us today as Donald Trump is suggesting they were. And
there will be no ramifications for this, and it sends a message globally that you can brutally murder journalists, and it's okay, and our president won't listen to the audio because it's too intense to hear, and it's a really
sad day in America.
I don't know what's happening, and I don't mean to make this about my father, but things were very different when he was around, and I feel very unsafe, and that we're shifting in a way that is very dangerous, and it's not the America I grew up in. It's not the America I want.
Saudi Arabia is getting criticism from all sides on this. How smart of a move is it?
Look, I think if you take the Trump rhetoric aside and you just look at what U.S. policy is, I think it's the exact same policy that President Obama would have had if he was still president.